Each year we see more and more of a transition to a digital age in education. So with that said, it is very important that we not only prepare ourselves, but we also prepare our students for this transition.
That's right, and a good example for that is online assessment. So we want to help you identify some skills, give you some tools and some strategies that you can implement on this week's episode of IT Weekly. At the conclusion of this school year, most of our students are going to be taking their assessments online using certain skills they need on their device. But we wanted to encourage all of our instructors to make sure that they build these skills with their students throughout the school year and not just wait until the week before exams.
Great point. Many of our students will be taking these assessments on their Chromebook, so it is very important that we provide our students the skills necessary to be as successful as possible. So let's take a look at the Trackpad on the Chromebook.
On the Chromebook, there are a few gestures students should know when using the Trackpad. Whenever a student is using one finger on the Chromebook, as they move their finger on the trackpad, it will move their cursor around as well. Moving two fingers on your trackpad will allow your students to scroll left or right, up or down on your Chromebook. Clicking one time with one finger on your Chromebook will place your cursor wherever you are clicking. Putting two fingers, pressing down with two fingers on your Chromebook will right click for you on your Chromebook.
Being able to navigate a Chromebook's trackpad with different gestures is key to being successful on an online assessment.
Exactly, and one of the skills that Trackpad can help with is highlighting. Highlighting is something that we have our students do regularly to text, to passages, to help them identify keywords or key points. So one of the tools that can help us with this highlighting actually is Read and Write for Google.
Another key feature that the Google Read and Write extension has inside of your Chrome browser is the ability to have your students highlight text. So if you're a math teacher, you might want your students highlighting a keyword indicating what type of word problem they are working on. So in this first one, the keyword is total. You would have your students highlight that word and then select one of the 4 different highlighter colors. The keyword would then be highlighted. Now, if you're an English teacher and you give your students a passage where they would highlight the different parts of speech inside of a passage, you would want to make sure that you indicate which color is a particular part of speech. So, for instance, you might have the students highlight nouns in blue and verbs in pink. So after your students highlight the parts of speech, they can then select the Collect Highlights button on the Read and Write menu bar, and a new document will be made with all of the parts of speech that your students have highlighted, and a new document will be created. Last thing is you want to make sure that your students change the name of that document that was created so that each time that they create a new highlighted document, it stores it correctly.
One of the nice things about using Read and Write for Google is that it does connect with other applications beyond just Google Docs. You can actually use your Read and Write for Google highlighting tools on something like a Canvas quiz.
And along with this skill, students also need to be able to learn how to use a drag and drop feature. And it just so happens that Read and Write for Google provides just this.
One simple way to have students practice dragging and dropping is through a simple vocabulary activity. You can give your students a table like I have on the screen here that lists all the vocabulary words and also has a column for them to input definitions, visuals, and even write the word in a sentence. So what students can do is they can insert their own definition. They could write it in the definition column, and then you can have them search for visuals to insert here. One of the simple ways that students can do this is with Google Read and Write. They can select the Read and Write extension and then make sure that the vocabulary word that they want to find a visual for is selected. So I'm just going to put my cursor inside that word, and then I can click the picture dictionary, which will provide me a visual that I can insert into my table. And now all I have to do is take this visual and drag it right into my table, and there it is. And now my students can continue to do this for each word, and then they will have a visual for each one of the vocabulary words, and they will have had a chance to practice the dragging and dropping skill.
Please note that in Canvas, there is a course that's already built that outlines everything that we've talked about today and more. All you need to do is go to the URL below.
You can also find that same course by logging into Canvas, selecting the CMS Resources folder at the bottom, and clicking the button that says Online Assessment Resources. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you check us out next week for another edition of IT Weekly.